And hello everybody, and if you are joining and you are new to my channel, please note that we will have a period of pre-live chat and you will need to scroll forward, and today we will have 11 minutes of pre-tour chat. Although this isn't really a normal tour, this is me showing you guys Apollo after he has certainly been in the wars. So hello, who have we got on board? I can see Pizzazz is on board, and that's the only comment I can see. Hi Trista. Hi Sue. Who else do we have? I am indeed in the bathroom with a beautiful radiator behind me. What a look. Well, I can see if Pizzazz is saying hi Leslie, that would indicate to me that Leslie's on board. But the chat has stopped at Sue. Hi Anne, how are you? How is everybody today? It is of course the day after the clocks went back. Yeah, just double checking I've got that right. I think I've said that wrong before on a tour. So we got that extra hour in bed, although unfortunately I didn't really get an extra hour in bed as such because I'm still on a timetable of medication, but we'll be speaking about that later. Weather-wise, I think it's been quite nice today. I went out and picked some more apples off the lawn and tried to get some semblance of normality into the chaos, because the apple season, the crop of apples has been just beyond this year. I'm sorry to hear that, Sue. You're really tied up with Rolo, no doubt. And not yet, Laurie. You'll have to remind me what I even asked. It has been a lovely day. Not that I really got to spend a lot of it outdoors, unfortunately. I think I've spent a bit of it napping. So trying to make up for broken sleep before it's back to work tomorrow, and everything goes back to the, well, I would say not everything goes back to normality, does it, Apollo? No, I know. Oh, that's interesting. I think there's a cat scratching trying to get in. Oh, sorry, I see what you mean now. Your clocks. No, it's Baloo trying to get in. Your clocks don't go back yet. I'm with you now. I'm with you now. No. This is my life. Cat trying to get out. Cat trying to get in. Really, you don't want to be shut in here, Baloo? November the 2nd, so November the 2nd, oh, that's next weekend then, isn't it? But yes, of course, unfortunately, it has got darker earlier. So that's been quite sad. You lost sound, did you? Hopefully you're the only one that lost sound. Might be because I'm not convinced my Wi-Fi isn't playing around at the moment. And we are on Wi-Fi rather than mobile data, because the mobile signal isn't great in my house. Just checking out my wayward eyebrows. If I don't get on top of them, I look like an absolute mad professor. Keep thinking, I think I just thought to myself, oh, the moon's quite bright. But actually it's a reflection on the light, and I'm sure I've done that before in this room. When, of course, it would have been, oh gosh, probably 3 years ago when we were with the kittens. 3 years, when were they? Yeah, it must be about now, because it was born on the 10th of August. August, September, October. Just trying to think. If I had him, if he was here, I'm thinking this is probably around the time that we were having our first kitten tour. I'll have to look on the dates of that. That's quite spooky, isn't it? He was obviously a lot littler and less damaged. Less of him to damage. Little monkey. So what have we got? We've got 6 minutes. So share all your exciting stories. Not you share all your exciting stories. You can tell them later. Yes. Anybody done anything interesting today? I'm trying to think if I did anything else interesting. I spoilt myself yesterday when I was in Sainsbury's, and I bought myself one of these ready-made kind of, hello Cheryl, kind of omelette things, but not omelette things. So they're a mix of egg and spinach, and there's a word for them, round. Anyway, I bought myself one of those as a treat. That's how exciting my life is at the moment. So exciting I can't remember what they're called. Just got back from Torquay. Oh, how lovely. Nice day to be in Torquay, actually, because the sun, well, I'm guessing, I mean, obviously I'm not in Devon, but I'm guessing that the weather was rather lovely down in Torquay. Gosh, that will be what, 4 months? 4 months since I was there. How time flies, how things change. It's all falling apart. Frittata, yes, I think that is kind of what it is. Probably the best. Yes, I decided it must be healthy if it had spinach and eggs in it. Eggs for the protein, spinach to make me Popeye. I did look at the quiches, but yeah, I went and spoilt myself. Blue sky and sun, yes, how wonderful. As I say, I was outside, but really only picking up rotten apples or picking up okay apples to stick on my apple table. It's an actual table, but at the moment all it seems to be used for is apples, so let's call it an apple table, shall we? Just thinking, this is actually a wall, by the way, if you're wondering. Looks almost like I could hide behind it and it's made of paper, but it's just actually the angle. Not that anybody else may have been thinking that, but I was. Oh, Tricia, I'm in good company, I say. Well, it was a new range in Sainsbury's. For those who aren't in the UK, unfortunately, I dare say they're not available. That particular one, it was a whole £4. Hi, Tina. So I was like, I'm in an R-ring. I know. Oh, an apple table. Well, it's a table I think was left behind when I moved to my last house. And sort of wrought iron. Or not really, but you know what I mean. And it was a project where I was going to peel all the paint off and repaint it. And I've done none of that. Not in the last 20 years. As is saying, you had a windstorm last night which had power lines falling on a public transit bus shortly after midnight. They were stuck on the bus for just over 3 hours waiting for hydro workers. Good Lord. That would be a nightmare. I assume they turned the power off. Otherwise they could all be electrified. It's quite scary. I also have apple chairs as well to add to my posh apple table. It's chairs that were left at a different house, which actually kind of match the table and also are part of a project that I haven't got round to probably longer than 20 years. And they also, when there are too many apples for the apple table, they then become apple chairs. What literally happens is the system is I put fairly decent apples on there. Some of them will already have holes, and a week later I'll find out they've gone rotten and they go in the food recycling. The rest go, I don't know, I think Mr. Fox is having some nibbles, some birds are having some nibbles, probably feeding some rats, some mice, pigeons, monkeys. I don't think I have monkeys in the back garden, but you can't tell. Never make assumptions. What's the time? The time is 1 minute to go, and then we will move on to the patient, and I'll give you a bit of a rundown. So really I put this kind of slot in so I could update everybody, and I thought it probably was easier to show rather than put it all. I could make cider. I think you need 2 different types of apples to make cider. So my brother, who's an apple tree, I gave him loads of my apples so that he could try and make cider, and it didn't work. So I'm glad it was his failed exercise rather than mine. I did actually, if you boil them up, you can make apple juice, which was quite nice. I did that one year, got about 1 litre of apple juice, but it's obviously not something I do on a regular basis. Oh, nice. Fireworks. That's splendid then, isn't it? Surely it must be on the nose. It's on the nose. It's 6:30 on the nose. So, hello and welcome. This isn't my normal kind of tour. This literally is just me sharing Mr. Apollo so you can find out what has happened, and I'll give you a bit of an update on where we are. So, I'm going to pick up the gimbal, and I'm going to put it back to its normal. Come on. Unfortunately, my gimbal is really on its way out, so it doesn't actually respond when I need it to. And we'll turn it round so you can see the bathroom, and so you can see the patient. And I'm afraid now, actually, before I do this, let me remind myself. Now, if you are squeamish, you may not want to look at him. What he looks like at the moment, so one eye is still tickety-boo. He's got his flower pot on his head, fine. I'll go into more detail later. He's got his 3rd eyelid has been stitched shut. So just bear in mind, if you are of a queasy nature, or whatever the word is that I can't think at the moment, don't blame me. You have been warned. And this is my tuxedo gentleman, who is very, very sleepy, which is why you'll see that his normal eye isn't actually particularly open either. There you are, my little man. So, just going to talk to you about what happened. So, well, that, Tina, is funnily enough the purpose of this tour. So, basically, today is Sunday. It was actually last Sunday. I was on the phone to Kate from the Cattery, and he came in, and let me see, because I have added some photos so you can see what he looked like. So, well, funnily enough, the reason why I know it happened on this day is because this was him last Saturday. So if you want to save your questions for when I've done the intro, and because I'll miss them. So this is him there. So you can see he has a scratch on his nose, which he still has a scratch on his nose. But I could actually tell that I hadn't missed it. And then I was speaking to my friend, and I said he's got something wrong with his eye. And I said, with eyes, you don't mess around. So I phoned up the vet straight away. They said, bring him down. Now, of course, it was Sunday. I was lazing about. I was not dressed. So firstly, I had to quickly get dressed, go to the vet's. And what he had, and you can see in this photo, so he had a bloodshot eye. And he had, if you look at the top of that right eye, you can see he had a white circle. So that was strange, and that was slightly prominent from his eye. So it wasn't flat to his eye, it was actually slightly protruding. So this is actually in the vet's when she took that photo. No, she didn't take the photo when she was holding him now. And I wrote a post about this. So what she said is, he's obviously got he's got an eye ulcer. And he needs to have, now they are an emergency vet, so they're not a specialist vet. So she said to me, now the question is, do you want to look at me or do you want to look at Apollo? Because I'm happy to do either while I'm talking. So she said he needs eye drops every 2 to 3 hours, 2 different sets of eye drops, 1 an antibiotic and 1 an anti-inflammatory, and they need to be 30 minutes apart. So it was 2 o'clock that I got there, and I was, you want me to give him eye drops every 2 to 3 hours, 2 different sets, every 30 and then 30 minutes apart. So if I do it every 2 hours, I give 1 at 2 hours, and then wait 30 minutes, and then another 90 minutes later, I have to give him his second eye drop. And I was like, how, I can't do that. That would be, I wouldn't get any sleep. She's like, okay, so she went off. Oh no, the first thing was she said he also needed a serum. And the serum they create from taking some blood. So they could take his blood, create this serum, and that would become an eye drop. It's all a bit sci-fi. And then she went out, spoke to a colleague, and she came back in and said, no, you don't need that anymore. Apparently the eye drops are so good, you don't need this. Okay, fine. So now I'm thinking, right, he did need that, now he doesn't need that. Then she's talking about the time, and she went off, and I said to her, would it make sense for him to stay with you? I said, because I'm really worried this is a severe ulcer, and making sure he gets the right treatment. And she said to me, well, if you don't feel able to do them, I said, I'm slightly concerned that you're asking, because to me it feels, I mean, in hindsight, I think I was so stressed because I was thinking, well, I want to look after him, but I'm not sure if I'm the best person to look after him, because if I have to get up every 2 hours, then I can't go to work tomorrow because I won't have had any sleep. So anyway, then she went to, I said, look, you keep going out to speak to your colleague. Is that your colleague or your boss? And she said, my colleague. I said, okay. She said, do you want to have a second opinion? I said, well, that would be helpful. So he came in, and then we agreed that Apollo would stay with them. And it made absolute sense for them to do that, because it meant they could actually have a vet checking his eye, because otherwise one of the things you would worry at is that the hole has actually gone through to the lens, that it will leak, that it will rupture. So they were doing the drops, although interestingly enough, I'm looking at the discharge sheet and it looks like they were doing it every 4 hours. So that's slightly confusing that they're saying it needs to be done every 2 hours. But anyway, I phoned up at about 10 to 9 just to check how he's getting on, and they said he's on the table now, they're just assessing him. Somebody call you after they've assessed him. Nobody rang back, and I thought, I've been here before, if there was anything wrong they would have called me. They could have had however many emergencies come up. So went to bed, woke up, and they said, again, somebody will call you in the morning, probably around, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10. Well, of course, that didn't happen. They rang slightly later. But again, this isn't my first rodeo. I know that things don't happen when you necessarily expect them to happen. So they rang me up about 10 to 12, and they said to me, he needs a specialist. You know, we could do a referral. What do you think? And I was like, well, he has to have absolutely what is best for him. So they said, well, there are, you know, this place or this place, one of which is in Essex. And I was like, I'm terrified of heights. I really don't think I could come back on the bridge, because there's a tunnel, the Dartford Tunnel, then there's Queen Elizabeth Bridge coming back. She said, okay. She said, well, the good news is at least you'd have got across, which was quite funny. Anyway, managed to get him somewhere. It's about an hour's drive from me. And I'm not going to be naming any vet names because I don't think it's fair to be talking about them on YouTube. So they rang me back at about 1:15 and said, yep, they can take the referral. I was like, brilliant, okay then. And they said, oh, well, probably have to wait till tomorrow. I was like, oh no. So they said, well, we'll make the referral. It'll only take a few minutes and then they'll call you. So by 2 o'clock I hadn't heard back, and I just rang the specialist vets up and managed to get an appointment for 4 p.m, which was brilliant. It meant I could go down, saw this amazing vet. He was so thorough, and it was like taking him to the opticians, really. He tested both eyes, obviously to make sure there's nothing genetic. Anyway, so he was putting the dyes in. So he puts in the dye when you have something, you know, you go in sometimes the optician, you have the orange dye put in, which means they can pick things up clearer. He put this thing on his head. He was magnifying. It was massive. There's this atropine, I think, that goes in his eye, and it really made him salivate. So there he is on the table with an orange eye, frothing at the mouth. Of course, this was Monday. The rain was torrential. It was hideous when I drove to one vet to pick him up. And then it was absolutely hideous taking him on the 50-minute journey to this specialist vet. And it was absolutely hideous taking him back on the hour journey. So I left there about 5:30 p.m, which is prime kind of traffic. Fortunately, it's been half term this week, so less traffic on the roads. And what he had is, let me just get myself sorted. So what he had is various drugs he needed to be given. So he needed antibiotic tablets twice a day. He needed the antibiotic eye drops 4 times a day, but more helpful. He had an anti-inflammatory eye drop. He had a corneal repair eye drop. And then he had what is known as Metacam Meloxate. It's an anti-inflammatory that you syringe in. And this is basically, I'll just show you what we've got here. So this is, they give you a weekly medication chart. So you can see he had his tablets and his Optrex in the morning, because it's actually Optrex. How lovely. He's using the same as probably any guy who's got, any human who's got conjunctivitis. That's very amusing. If it works, don't knock it. Then you've got the Acula, which is the anti-inflammatory, the Remend, which is the corneal gel. Then you're back to Optrex. And what I did is I wrote the time that I wanted to give it to him and then the time that he actually had. Then I decided to give him the best shot. I would give him a 5th one and I would get up overnight. So you can see Monday 3 a.m, Wednesday 3 a.m, Tuesday 3 a.m, and then Thursday, of course, was slightly, because the clocks went back. It was immensely complicated. So that chart was super, super helpful. Making sure that I gave him his tablets while, of course, trying to work. So let's see what else we've got here. So that first appointment at the emergency vet was, let's find out, £711. So just the emergency appointment is £245. That's just a consultation. Then obviously that Remend corneal repair gel, that's 35 quid. The Meloxate, 26 quid. And funnily enough, they gave him an eye ointment. this is really interesting that they gave him an eye ointment, because when I got to the next vet, they said, well, because he's got his eye, you don't really want to give him an eye ointment, you want to be giving him drops. So that eye ointment that cost 28 quid, that only lasted a day. You've obviously got the fluorescent stains, you've got the hospitalisation, the inpatient review while he's been hospitalised. And then you've got, so that all kind of adds up then. And the thing is, very fortunate that, yes, of course, it's a lot of money, but very fortunate actually that I can pay it, because I think to myself, well, goodness, how many people couldn't even pay the emergency consultation? Now, I am insured. I'm very much hoping I will get this back. However, at the rate we're going, we may well go over the insurance limit. Then we had the emergency appointment, and that was £450. I'm getting some Optrex drops. I'm getting the antibiotics. I've got... I've got now the Acula eye drops. Again, these things are not cheap, but wait. So that's about, what, 1,200 quid. So you think to yourself, okay, fine. With any luck, the insurance will pay, and that's about £7,500 limit. Of course, there's no saying they'll pay until they actually pay, but you have to hope. So at this one, following your pet's examination, please keep the buster collar on and restrict activity. Please gently clean away any discharge from his eyes as required. If you're at all concerned, please call the clinic for advice. The diagnosis is a penetrating intraocular injury associated with corneal ulcer, marked uveitis. Okay. So, this is me making sure I do my best for little man. He's very sleepy today. He's not normally quite so sleepy boy. And this was also that when they said we're going to see him on the Friday, and on the Friday we will see whether this treatment has worked or whether or not he needs surgery. Hello. And he's been an absolute dude with the, I don't know what dude means, to be fair. He's been really good taking the eye drops, really good. I mean, I can feel there's a scab here as well, so he's covered in scabs from his fight. So I did everything I could to kind of hopefully avoid any infection, reduce the inflammation. Unfortunately, when I went there on Friday, the vet I'd seen came in again. I saw him again. And he said, well, great, he hasn't got any infection. However, I'm not sure, because what he's got is he's got a little corneal flap. So if you imagine an onion, and obviously with its outer layer. So what's happened is a claw's gone through that onion, and as it's been come out, it's picked off a bit of that onion, and that then is flapping. Unfortunately, that flap had not flattened down back around the eye, and it also was hiding what was underneath. So he said, I think we're going to need to do some surgery to find out, you know, what's obviously, we can have a better look. And he brought in the owner of the practice. She had a look and she agreed the best thing to do was actually surgery. So Tina, I have no idea who he had a fight with, and I dare say they won't let me know. I imagine it's probably an unneutered Tom walking around. Oh, hello. Are you moving? Are you moving, Mr. Polo? Are you moving? Are you? Oh, Mr. Polo. Yes, Mr. Polo. So this was a 9:30 appointment, and I think I left for about, I don't know, about 10:30. And they said to me, he'll probably be ready to pick up about 3. So I thought, okay, I've got 4.5 hours. 4.5 hours to kind of, I don't know, just waste time until I can pick him up, because it's an hour away. There's absolutely no point me driving home and then an hour back again. Plus, I'm driving that much is too much for me in one day. That'd be 4 hours driving. So I went and I drove to the next village, and I sat on the parked up by the pavement. I sat there, I did some work emails. I'd brought a book, so I read a bit of a book, made a phone call, and then they said they had a somewhere opposite where I could grab something to eat. So then I drove back, got something to eat. Then they rang up and said, he'll be ready to collect. Oh, Tina, there's no public libraries nearby. I'm in a village. So they said he'll be ready to pick up about 4:30. And I was like, that late? I said, is there any way? They said he's waking up, he's okay, but you know, we can't let him go until he's properly awake. And I said, well, could we have an appointment earlier than I actually collect him? Because obviously you've got to talk me through everything. I'm worried again about hitting the rush hour going home. So what they have done is they have stitched the corneal flap so that hopefully it will flatten down onto his eye. Now, there is no saying it will work. What they've then done is they have stitched his third eyelid, because then it will mean that his eye is able to heal without risk of him knocking it and what have you. And he's again got this flower pot. So we were talking it all through. She said, however, there is no guarantee it's going to work. If it doesn't work, they'd have to go back to the plan of a graft, which is stitching bits of the flap to the. It all got very complicated, and the problem is with that is then it will impact his vision. I mean, I think that no matter what happens, because it's right in the centre of the eye, I think no matter what happens, his vision will be impacted slightly anyway. But this would be, if you have the graft, it's kind of a milky cover over it. I mean, at the moment, he can't obviously see anything because he's got his third eyelid over it. So I'm going back, not tomorrow, but the following Monday. And they're going to unstitch this. And sorry, I can see that my foot's in the stream. That's not really very attractive, is it? And they're going to unstitch his third eyelid and hope that this stitching has helped for the cornea to do what it needs to do, so that he doesn't need any more surgery. So basically what they did, the professional report, so the diagnosis is a complex penetrating cat scratch laceration to the right eye associated with intraocular hemorrhage, because actually what they noticed when they took the flap up is that he had a small blood clot behind it. So they sutured the oblique flap of damaged cornea, including penetration site. I think that means they actually stitched underneath, and then the placement of a third eyelid flap. Now, oh, I really hope it works. So that then was 2,700. So I've already spent 3,900 of my 7.5. So you can see obviously where the money starts adding up. And the point to say isn't that, you know, these are specialists, really specialists, have got specialist kit. The fact that she could do that is mind-blowing. The fact that somebody is actually stitching his cornea is mind-blowing. You know, the expertise, I can't even fathom it. So he came back from the anaesthetic and he slept all the way, which was nice because he has been crying on the other 3 journeys. So Tina, I don't know until insurance pay me back. I haven't put the claim in. Hopefully they will cover up to 7,500. But again, you know, until you get the money in your bank, you can't guarantee anything. And obviously I've got an excess as well. So he came home, and sometimes when cats have anaesthetic, they can go a little bit nutty. Well, he went a little bit nutty because so what I did was I was exhausted when I got home. So I went to bed for a lay down, and I heard him trying to get out by scratching the door. And the thing is, you mustn't come through every time he tries to bang against the door, because otherwise he'll then notice that he does something and he can control your behaviour. So I let him get on with it, and then I came through and I was like, okay, then let's check on my little boy. And he was no longer wearing his cone of shame. And of course then I had a massive panic because I've just spent all this money to have his eye stitched up, and for all I know, he's then trashing his own eye, and I'm going to have to take him straight back again. So what happened is, this is a different cone to the cone that he originally had by the original vet. They said it's too small and he can get at his eye. Well, I haven't seen him get at his eye, but you know. So when I saw him, firstly, when I went out to reception, again, there was some confusion because at the discharge after his surgery, this is Apollo chucking the food on the mat and eating it from the mat. I would say it's because he's got a cone on, but he does it at home. He does it at home. He does it when he doesn't have a cone on. He's just a mucky chap. And she said, right then, okay, so you need to give these drops every 6 hours. When I'd spoken to the first vet in the morning, he'd said, you're not going to have to get up overnight. You just give him 4 drops a day. So I was like, oh, amazing. I no longer have to get up overnight. She was telling me every 6 hours. I said, so I have to get up? She said, yes. I said, well, are you sure? She said, yes. So I said, could you check? So she went off and she came back and said, you can do what you agreed earlier. But of course now it's in my head that I should be doing it every 6 hours. So I'm setting the alarm for 2 a.m. in the morning. So he has them 8 a.m, 2 p.m, 8 p.m, 2 a.m. The joys, the joys. So he then went absolutely, oh, that was it. So then he went absolutely nuts. He's lost his collar. Oh, and I've forgotten the last bit. So I was a little bit stressed by this other kind of debate about whether to get up, not get up. So anyway, I went out, they brought him out. I saw him with his shaved eye, his white eye, and I burst into tears because I've been hanging around all day. I was stressed, I was worried, and it was all a little bit too much. And then I said, he hasn't got his bandage on. They'd put his other collar on top of his cat carrier, the one that the first vet had given, and they'd given me this one. I said, it doesn't have a bandage on it. I won't be able to do that at home. So the receptionist went off, or the vet nurse, and said, oh, it's a different collar. The other one was too small. Doesn't need a bandage. The other one was too small and he could get at his eye. So anyway, off I trot, get him home. Within an hour, he's got this new cone off. So I phoned up my cat sitter, because I first phoned up phoned up this vet and said, although it was now an emergency hours, and saying, look, what do I do? Should I then go back to the other collar? Is it because he's acting like a nutter he's taken this one off? What should I do? He said, well, probably go back to the original collar. So I was like, oh, cone. So I was like, well, I can't do that on my own. So I rang my cat sitter, who came round very kindly. And he's running around like an absolute fool. You are an absolute fool. And I think I've got some photos, actually. So let's have a look. I think I've missed quite a few photos. So this one, what's this one? So this one is obviously a bit of what you've seen already. This is before he had his surgery. This is the original cone. Looks very similar. This was when he went to the vets, bless his little heart, just before the surgery. Look at that. This is when he came home, and I'm really glad I took that photo. And you know why? Because if you look at it, you can see the number of holes across the collar needs to be. So that when I'd taken it apart to put it back on, I knew. There you can see his beautiful little bandage on his leg, which obviously then came off. What a cutie. I think it's to make the boys blink. Why is the cone pink? To make the boys blink. Maybe it's a calming colour. Who knows? And this is when he went into nutty mode. And he was racing all over the bathroom. He was going behind the bath. He was jumping up things. And I was terrified he was going to hurt himself. You can see there's a little bit of that orange staining on his eye there. I've wiped it off now. When I went to give him his first eye drop after the surgery, his eye was closed. And I thought, I don't know what to do. I can't open it. So I rang the vets, their emergency line, and it cut off twice. And then I turned around and it actually slightly opened it. So that was one panic over. So I also spoke to the vet when he was being a nutter, and I said, look, I've been given a gabapentin for him to have 2 hours before he comes to the vets on Friday, not Friday, on the following Monday, so that they'll take his stitch out without needing to sedate him. I said, should I give him the gabapentin? He said I would. So I gave him the gabapentin. To be honest, it takes about 2 hours to be optimal. And he was still a bit of a twit, rushing around. Finally managed to get the bandage. There was no way we could kind of keep the cone off for long because he was running around too much. So we got the cone back on, and then we threaded the bandage through, and it's still intact. I'm hoping now he's back to being more calm, it's not going to be an issue. And then yesterday evening, He went to go into the litter tray, slightly moved, so then he came out of it. Then he was searching somewhere. I thought, he looks like he's going to go to the toilet in his cat carrier. And he looks like he's going to go to the toilet over there. So I put him back in the litter tray, and all I could say is there's a noise a bit like a squirty cream. And he had diarrhea. And of course, now I don't know if, because a Metacam can cause diarrhea, and if it does, it can cause vomiting or diarrhea, you have to stop it. So I don't know if it was that or the gabapentin. So he's not had his Metacam, and I thought, I'm not phoning the emergency vet to ask about that. I shall phone them on Monday. And of course, we'll find out if it was the gabapentin, because he's going to need some more next Monday morning, 2 hours before. So that is the story of Mr. Apollo. And I don't know if you can hear. He is purring. He has been dealing with it really well. I don't know that the upset would have done it. Cats can get quite stressed. The thing is, Baloo can't have Metacam because he does get sick, or I can't remember if he gets sick or diarrhea, I can't remember anymore. He can't have it, but because Apollo had been on it for a week, and I did look, and again, both of them can cause diarrhea. So as with any drug. And unfortunately, we still have the issue with Baloo. Baloo has actually going to be having tests because it's likely he has Fanconi syndrome, which is unfortunately means he's not absorbing the nutrients he needs. It's not treatable, unfortunately, and so he is feels like he's losing a lot of weight at the moment. So I have Baloo, now I have Apollo. Yeah, I mean, true, Sue. I mean, antibiotics also can give you a little bit of upset tummy, although again, he's been on them now for a week. And interestingly enough, we had an issue with the antibiotics. That was another phone call to the vet. So this is the tablet, and you can see, I've managed to zoom in, not on the photo, but actually on Apollo. You can see that this is half of the tablet. So he has 1.5 a day. It's Clavaceptin. Unfortunately, when you have that half, it crumbles. So you leave the half, you take the one, that's fine, you take a half, and then the half that's left in the packet absolutely crumbles. So I then phoned up to find out whether or not that was all right. The vet nurse answered the phone, said she'd never heard of it before, she'd look into it. Second person I spoke to said it's absolutely fine, it happens with some tablets, but absolutely ridiculous. So I end up putting that dodgy half into a little pot, so that when he then comes to have it, I actually just open his mouth and pop it in. So it doesn't make it easy. Probiotic, Baloo's on a probiotic at the moment. Then, of course, the good news is we have got Peach being her usual silly self. So I was doing recycling and recycling boxes. Every box I got out, Peach was getting into. So that is the Ocean Feast selection in jelly. She liked that box. But she also wanted to get in the whiskers. And then, as I said to you earlier today, I collect up the apples, and I have recently been taking them to hospice. So I took some down to the hospice earlier today, and I kept one separate. And the reason why I kept it separate is because it looked like that. And I put it on the floor, and she said, "Oh, you've left one outside the box." And she said, "Oh, it looks like a bum." I said, "I'm so glad you said that." I said, "That's exactly why I brought it." So do not worry, I have not lost my sense of humour. You give all your cats probiotics every day? Wow. I mean, I'll be honest, the probiotics are quite expensive. There is no way I could afford to give all of mine probiotics every day. But yes, Baloo had those. And to be honest, hopefully Apollo will be back to normal. Well, I mean on the litter tray. Oh yes, Sandy, it's not just you. There is never anything so amusing as a misshapen fruit, I think, or vegetable. So there you are. There is the tale of Mr. Apollo, who is still obviously loving his tummy tickles. I don't think he's missing the other cats. I have Peach, who tries to get in. She did until I actually let her in. Then she saw him, hissed at him, and hid under the bath. I don't really want to give him anything else, Tina, at the moment that he hasn't had before. I'm just going to let him settle. He's got so much going on. I don't want to risk giving him something else that he's never had before. As I say, I'm fairly sure he should be fine now. It's just obviously whatever went through. Yes, my puppy. If he continues, then we shall see, but I'm hoping. I mean, it is quite amazing, really, when you think about it, when you think what he's been through. Even just sitting for an hour having all these eye tests, they have said he is a really super good boy. I don't know why, I just wasn't expecting the shave bit, which of course is ridiculous because whenever they have something done, unfortunately, as you can see, what's happening is I'm putting the eye drops in his eye, or you can see because he's not using his eye as much, you can see it's just around the eye a little bit building up. The problem is I don't want to really be wiping that while it's crusty because I don't want to risk damaging anything that's going in. So I do around here. But apart from that, I'm leaving around there. If I'm honest with you, Peach would be unmanageable. I had to give her eye drops when she was a kitten as she had conjunctivitis. She was an utter nightmare. Odessa would be absolutely no good at all, any of this. Kato would have bitten me a few times. Baloo doesn't like anything around by his face, so he brings his claws up. He's not nasty, but he just wouldn't tolerate it, so I think I really hope that he will steer clear of the cat that's done it. And actually what they did say is when they looked at this eye, they could see he had a tiny scar. So obviously it's not the first time, but obviously one has been a very tiny scratch and one has actually been penetrated his eye. So, not great. Well, and of course, this is the shaved bit where they put the fluids in, I'm guessing. The anaesthetic whateverness. I haven't seen it, Leslie. I couldn't tell you. If I knew who it was, I'd have strong words with them. But I can't get up now. I'm stuck forever on the bathroom floor. I haven't. Did I hear something? I'm not sure. Funny enough, Tina, talking about number 2s and litter trays, he had, it only been once since he'd been at the vet's on the Sunday, and then obviously what I would say is that when he came back on the Friday, it was the longest poo in the world. So if anything, he'd been, I think, it's interesting, isn't it, how we're all, well, maybe not, bowels isn't the most interesting conversation for everybody, but how we all react, our digestions. I think all I'm doing is take every day as it comes. So he'll have his 8 o'clock drops and his 8 o'clock tablets, and I set the alarm for 2 o'clock. Of course, the antibiotic eye drops, the Optrex, have to go in the fridge. So you have to get up, go downstairs, get them out the fridge. You turn on the light, and fridge is Tina, have you taken it yourself? I've forgotten what I was saying now. So then you turn on the kitchen light, and Peach at the moment is sleeping on the bed on the kitchen table. So her eyes are then suddenly going, oh, adjusting to the light. So then to stop upsetting her twice, I leave the light on, get the Optrex out the fridge, go upstairs, reminding myself I've literally only just woken up, make sure not to fall down the stairs. Give him his eye drop, go back down, put it back in the fridge, double check because the fridge door keeps shutting incorrectly, and I'm sure the freezer's defrosting and then refrosting. Give Peach a bit of a stroke, go back up to bed, and then of course wait and see how long it's going to take me to go back to sleep, because unfortunately I'm not one of those people that wakes up and then can go back to sleep. So last night, Baloo woke me up twice by heaving. He deposited a fur ball on a sisal doormat. Anybody who has a cat will know that is the last place one of the last places you want a cat to deposit a messy fur ball. But yeah, he woke me up twice. Apollo woke me up by scratching at the door, and then of course I had the alarm. I think I read somewhere about pet well-being. Apparently there's some drops. Was it pet well-being? I don't know if it's a Canadian-American thing or something, but I think... so the ones I get are £20, I think, for 30 sachets. So if I got them for all of my cats, I'd be paying £100 a month. But I saw somewhere that for kidney there were some drops or something, and I'm sure they said pet well-being. It was somewhere I hadn't heard of before, so I wonder if it's something across the pond. I work from home anyway, majority of the time. So I'm quite fortunate, because obviously I couldn't, otherwise I'd have to take leave. Which I would take leave if I had to. Yes! Is you tired, bunny? Yes. Yes. Let's do a nose shot. Oh! Can you see this fur keeps getting stuck on the inside, so obviously trying to clean that. This is like kind of some sort of velvety finish, so that's getting the fur stuck to it as well. Wonder how long it'll take for the fur to grow back. And what she said is as well, actually, I wonder if I can show you, although it's super painful doing this. So ignore this. Interestingly enough, it shows up all the, so here, she also stitched, and you can just about see it because there was also a claw went through that. Yeah, I had a look, Leslie, as soon as I saw somebody talking, because obviously I saw somebody saying, oh, there's this stuff you can get from Pet Wellbeing. I can't remember what it was, and I found one online. I think I've got an open tab on it. I don't know if they do probiotics, but I think after I bought the probiotics, and obviously they were fakes, I'm more super careful about what I buy online now. Can you hear him purr? And his little tuxedo friend is also, his little Rolo is also going through the walls at the moment. Oh, this is the first time he's been able to groom anything. Bless him. Look. I gave him his tail. He hasn't been able to groom anything for a while because he can't reach. Oh, look. Is that nice? You found your own tail again? Yes. Thank you. If we have you too long like this, you're going to be a right stinky boy. Be a great little image for the Halloween quiz, which will be next Sunday after popular demand. Well, to be fair, I think by the time the vote ended up being pretty much similar, I think Sunday works better, even though it's not technically Halloween. You look like a bit of a feline monster, don't you, Apollo? You done clean your tail? Did you clean your tail? Did you? Clever boy. Yeah. Don't eat it, just lick it. Oh, there's going to be a Halloween quiz. I'm trying to think of some dark questions. Didn't think I'd be literally holding my cat's tail so he could groom it. You done? Is it clean now? Good boy. Am I clean? So he's kind of like a Captain Apollo because we could get him a little eye patch. If you look at him like this, you'd never know anything's wrong. Or, so a pirate, sorry, not a captain. I was thinking of Captain Hook. Will. I don't know if it's the camera using focus or the fact that I'm actually crouching down and I think my whole body's moving slightly forward. Don't know. Oh. Will it be the quiz from the bathroom? No, Sue, I think I'll treat myself to an actual chair. I'm getting very old for all of this crouching on the floor business. Yeah, the stitches they will be removed, as I said, hopefully that's what the gabapentin's for next Monday. So they can, the appointment, they need to remove the stitches so they can check his eye. Whether or not then they are fine, or whether or not they say then he'll need more surgery, whether or not they'll say, yeah, he needs then to be kept inside with the thing on for a bit longer, I don't know. I almost don't want to know, because I think I need to have a date that I can at least be hopeful that we'll get a bit of back to normality. Not that I remember what normal is anymore, because this year has been absolutely crazy. Payon? I don't know what payon is. Oh, pain, sorry. I thought you'd come up with a new term. Yeah, I'm not particularly keen on giving medication to cats. Unless they really need it, but he absolutely will need it, because if he's going to have somebody, you know, going and unpicking stitches from his eye, I think I would certainly want to be, me, to be honest, you'd have to knock me unconscious before you could get anywhere near my eyes. I had an eye operation when I was younger, I don't know, maybe 6, and I don't like anything near my eyes. When I had somebody put contact lenses in at an optician, I nearly threw myself at him when he came near, because I was not throwing myself at him in a good way, but to get him off me. Yeah, Apollo is doing far, far better than I am. Right, well, what was going to be just a quick sort of chat in the bathroom has turned into a little bit longer. So if nobody's got any other questions, I will wrap up. So I'll give you a few seconds for questions to come through. Quite like the word payon, actually. It's a little bit Greek. I mean, it sounds a little bit Greek. It isn't Greek. Not sure if there's a thank you, Tricia. I think Apollo's getting sleep. It's just when he wakes up he wants attention, or out of his jail cell. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Leslie. Love to Rolo as well, who's going through it. These little creatures of ours, they don't often put us through it. He does like this bed because he can have a bit of a make a biscuit on it, and you can see there that sorry, that shows how unsteady my hands are at the moment. So it's goodbye from him. I'll turn the camera around. It's goodbye from me and my hair. Remember once actually I was leaning down, wasn't I? My hair went nuts. Oh, yes, perhaps a little bit like that, but it was all over last time. So hopefully I'll see you all at the quiz next Sunday. Thank you for your healing thoughts and support. If I get sent any tips for now, that will go towards buying him some little treaties. Thank you very much, and I'll end showing you not the bathroom sink, because that really isn't that interesting. Just I will give him extra hugs and kisses from everybody. Purring away. Take care, everybody. See you soon.